Before I moved back to Houston, I lived a completely different lifestyle. The single lifestyle was not a cheap lifestyle.
Hey guys, welcome back to Coupled Up with
Dex
and Chelsea. So welcome back to our channel. If this is your first time, go ahead and press that subscribe button if you're liking what you see. And we'll get straight into the video. So today we're going to talk about finances. That's something that Dexter and I have spent a lot of time talking about. But more specifically, what are we going to do in the future? How are we going to come together with finances? Or are we going to keep them separate? What type of debt do we have? What are our goals when we want to retire? All those different sorts of things. So do you want to talk about a little bit about what we're into right now?
Basically, what we've been talking about is, so when it comes to finances, Chelsea and I have all handled money differently. Chelsea, her parents raised her talking about money, and I remember when we had just gone off to college, and we were back home for a visit, and Chelsea was talking about how she had a credit card. And I was like, what are you doing with a credit card?
Really?
Yeah, I remember that. Because I came back home, and I was like, yo, Mom, Dad, I need to get a credit card so I can start building some credit. Because I remember we had that conversation about how your dad set you up with the credit card so you can start building credit and all this and that. I was like, you know what? I probably need to start building credit. And my dad was like, yeah, no, you're not about to take out a credit card. Because I think my parents had taken out credit cards when they were in college, and that was good.
Yeah, that's like the thing that I think parents are most scared of. The typical thing at colleges and universities is there's someone staying outside some building or in the quad or whatever you call your student area, and they're like, oh, come open a credit card with us, and you'll have 20% interest.
Now that's illegal. They can't do that anymore. But yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
But yeah, definitely had a credit card. So when did you get your first one?
I got my first credit card shortly after I brought that conversation up.
Did you just do it on your own without telling your parents?
No. So they had actually gotten me an Amex on their account. And
well, isn't that nice? Because that never happened with me. Well,
but
actually,
they added me onto their account. And so it was like I was already building credit. I didn't realize I was already building credit while they were using their cards.
Okay, so see, it was the opposite for me. Actually, now I'm thinking about it, my parents did give me a credit card under their account, but it was only for emergencies. But I wasn't building credit. It was strictly their account. I just so happened to have a card that said my name on it for emergencies only.
Likewise.
And I never actually used it. I never ran into an emergency like that.
But what that meant for emergencies was every time I traveled to come home or whatever, I would, use that card to get food and all that. Yeah. So see, this is the differences that we've had to talk about. And Chelsea, she's like really frugal with her money. She will not do things if she has to spend her money on it. And because she's so...
In reason.
I mean, yeah. Well, except she'll blow thousands of dollars on a trip.
Okay, why are you saying thousands of dollars? If I'm going international, yeah, it's probably going to be thousands of dollars.
So she'll blow thousands of dollars on a trip.
But I don't even really do international trips like that. Like, the last international trip that I had to pay for to get to, well, it was my best friend's birthday, and I did not spend thousands of dollars. Because guess what? I travel a lot for work, and I have points for hotels, points for airfare, and I use points for that. So the only thing I had to pay for was food and activities. Smart. But anyways, so credit cards, what about debt? So I was fortunate enough that my dad was in the military, and I got to go to school on the military, post 9/11 GI Bill, and so I came out of college with zero debt. So I was very fortunate and blessed to have been able to do that. Yeah. And I'm also fortunate and blessed enough that I have a job that, because I travel for work, they afford me with a car, and there's certain expenses that I don't have to pay for right now because of the job and the opportunity that
no student loans, no
Cell phone bills.
Cell phone bill.
They pay for that too.
No. There's like a list of 100 things.
Yeah, but
no cable and internet bill.
Okay,
no.
You guys, this is because
all these things that hit me every month is like.
But it's not even that much because where are you living right now? Compared to 95% of people our age.
Sure. Yeah. Like now I have the ability to save up more than I did before, but I still have a crap ton of bills. The only thing I'm missing is rent. That is it. That is literally the only thing I don't have to pay right now.
Okay. Well,
utilities.
Listen.
And all those other. So debt. Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, just be aware that my car note and gas and cell phone and all that stuff is getting paid for from my company, but that is a part of the package of pay. If they didn't pay for that, I would definitely be getting paid more. I would at least ask and quote unquote demand that. Mm-hmm. So, But yeah. Anyways, going back to what I was originally saying was debt. So not obviously, but you went out to school. You went to a private university. You came out of college with a little bit of debt, and we'll just keep it with a little bit of debt.
That's cute.
I mean, way less debt.
Well, actually, yeah.
I
had this conversation with my boss earlier this week. It's like it's basically nothing compared to what some other folks have.
Yeah.
Because I was blessed to have parents who paid for a lot. I had half of my tuition covered by the university I went to. I had a scholarship to go there. So there are a lot of people, even friends of mine, who are way worse positioned. But the point in like us. When we got back together, that was one of the intentional conversations we had, was about finances. We must have been in a relationship for maybe 3 or 4 months, and we started talking about, so how much is in the bank account? Like, what are some numbers?
Okay, but here's the thing. The only reason why we were doing that is because early on at that point in time, we knew that we wanted to spend together forever. It wasn't like we're just talking about it, because I have never in past relationships talked that openly about these type of things. It just did not happen because I felt no need to. But we were both open to having that discussion, so it made it a little bit easier to talk about, okay, like you said, how much do you save each month? Are you putting something into a 401k or an IRA or whatever it is? If not, what are your plans for that? We talked about how he was raised very strictly with your lawn care business growing up. What did your parents tell you to do as far as church and tithing and everything? Oh,
that I needed to save whenever I made my money, 10% needed to immediately go to church for my tithes. And anything beyond that, I needed to save some money and then only have a certain amount that I spend. But what that turned into is I just gave 10% to church and I blew it all, everything else on.
But we were young. We didn't have any responsibilities.
This was in high school.
I think we've all been there. You make your little change. I waited tables and hosted and did things like that. And yeah, I ran through it too. By running through it, it wasn't going to alcohol, it was going to food.
So when we talked about the finances, it wasn't an easy conversation because Chelsea, and this is one of the things that I appreciate about our coming together, is that Chelsea is more fiscally responsible than I was. Before I moved back to Houston, I lived a completely different lifestyle. The single lifestyle was not a cheap lifestyle. And
you were in DC spending money on like $15 drinks, I'm sure.
Yeah, no.
That's the thing.
Like eating out all the time and yes, going out all the time. Mm-hmm. So it was a very expensive lifestyle. But then when I came back home, it was like the whole thing is I need to, actually be responsible. I need to start getting stuff together because I'm trying to plan for long term. So when I came back home, and it was good because Chelsea and I were able to have these conversations. And in that aspect, like some of the things that Chelsea's parents did with her intentionally when they were raising her was discipline, right? And financial discipline is an area of growth for me. So it was a tough conversation talking about how I had like no money. and I made a lot of money, or a decent amount of money, when I lived in DC, and I had nothing to speak for, like nothing to speak of it. My 401k was just whatever the basic bare minimum was that my employer in DC contributed. There were all sorts of money that I left out there just on the table, that free matching, all this stuff. And so talking to Chelsea about her Roth IRA and about retirement savings, which I still haven't set up, but like it's on the agenda to get done.
It's happening this week.
Huh? Okay.
We're putting it out there. It's happening this week.
Okay.
So next week we'll see if it happens.
Well, so and setting those things up, it was good conversation, because it's an area of growth. And that's the whole thing, is that in relationships, when you're two different people come together, that's the conversation you have to have, is what is it that I need to be doing differently? What can I do better? And in the financial area, that's an area where this relationship has paid off huge dividends. But I will say, we referenced this in a previous post when we talked about sex, it's like just that the underlying thing is discipline, and having discipline. And that's an area where I'm still growing in the financial area, because, I live alone. I have a busy schedule. And when I come home, I do not feel like cooking. And so that's another area that is super expensive. Today, I spent $12. I spent $12.30 today on food. And that's
for
money
one meal,
for 2 meals, across 2 meals.
Lot. I mean, that's not a lot.
It's too much. Every day, if I'm spending $12,
if you're doing that every day,
$12 to $15. The other day, I spent $16 on lunch alone, right? Like, those things add up, and think about what I could have done with that money, So, it's just those things, and having those conversations and being each other's accountability partner. So if I were to say a few things that have been helpful for us, it is having the tough and uncomfortable conversation. It's being transparent with each other about what our financial goals are, and if our financial goals are. 3, identifying real, true, honest areas of growth, and then also making sure that you set goals and plans together as you move forward.
That was so political.
Okay.
So our future goals and plans, as he just mentioned, that's something that we have to think about. But we know for us, for sure, we're going to combine, once we get married, for sure we're going to combine our bank accounts. That's something that we want to do. We want to be, as he said, transparent as possible with each other. So at that point in time, what's his is mine and what's mine is mine. So
no. Yeah, nah. I was actually thinking about that on the way home from work today.
What?
I was like, I just spent $12.30 on food today, and I could have cooked at home, right? Mm-hmm. But when we're married and you tell me, like, you need to cut that out, or we shouldn't do this, or we shouldn't go buy this, no, will you actually be okay with me saying the same thing to you?
Well, here's the thing, and I've learned this from another couple friend of mine. So we'll have to sit down, and depending on at that point in time where our finances or what's our income at that point, we got to sit down and figure out, okay, within a week's worth of time, what's the dollar amount that we're not going to spend over, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. So like in a week, I'm not going to spend more than $100 on food and or certain activities. Or within a month, we're only going to budget out $50 for going to the movies and going to Topgolf or whatever it is, that activity that we want to do, whether it's together or separate with your guys or my girls or whatever it is. So figuring out that dollar amount and saying, hey, you got $100 for the month to, go out to eat for lunch, for work and things. And then after that, like, let's cut it out, or let's have that discussion at least. Hey, I've spent over the $100. What do you want to do? Mm-hmm. So yep. I think that's the best way to go about it potentially in the future. I
don't get this whole separate bank accounts business. We talked to a couple of people about that, and I'm thinking about
He doesn't get it, but to me, it's not for me. But that's like the same thing about, I guess the same thing goes for sex. I don't get the whole, why do people have sex before marriage business. That's what works for them. I'm not saying that one way is right or not right or wrong. I mean, to us, biblically, yeah, it's not right.
Yeah, but like, it's just, for me, when I think about the whole separate bank accounts, I can get the merit of having a separate little fund in case you wanted to do something special and secretive, like a surprise for your spouse. But funneling all this other money into another account somewhere and hiding things from the
But see,
spouse?
that's the thing. I don't think it's hiding. I think it is a legitimate, hey, this is my money, and like you were going back to, is I want to do what I want to do with my money. Mm-hmm. So as far as the bills are concerned, we're going to make the household bills, we're going to make sure that the rent is paid together, the electricity, all those bills are paid. Outside of that, my car note, my gas, what I want to do as far as traveling with my people or whatever it is, that stuff is separate, and now we don't have these conversations of things. So I can see how that can be beneficial.
So you want to do that?
No, because in the long run, for me, I want it to be one, because for me, marriage is all about becoming one and bringing everything together, the good and the bad and the ugly. Like,
so let's give each other an allowance that we can put into a separate account to use for whatever. That actually sounds pretty good.
We'll talk about that.
Like, so we have our joint account that everything goes into first, and then we have to, like, we each get an allowance every month that we get to put stuff into. That actually doesn't sound bad.
No, because like I just said, the whole each month we're going to talk about, okay, $100 is for this, $100 for that. Mm-hmm. There's no point at that point. Yeah, you are hiding. You are putting that money away
to do whatever I want to do with it.
But why do you need it in a separate account?
Well, maybe because it's my, like, I can,
because then, it's your money?
Yeah, I mean, no, because then it's like, I don't have to worry about, like, I really want this, or you really want to buy that purse or whatever. And me have to say, I think that's stupid because I have other plans for that money.
To me, marriage is about discussing things. If it's over a certain dollar amount, say at this point in time, we're balling at this point.
And I was about to say balling on a budget.
But I was about to say balling on a budget, but at that point, we're not balling on a budget. We're just straight balling. If we're straight balling, then I say, okay, anything over $1,000 that you want to spend within this month or this pay period, whatever it may be, then we need to have that discussion. Then yes, you have a discussion about it. Like my mom really wants a new refrigerator. She's not going to just go and buy a new refrigerator. You know what I mean? Obviously, that's a high ticket price. She's just not going to go and do that and then not have that discussion about it with my dad.
So this is just an important conversation to have. You got to talk about it. It's not easy, but got to do it. Because this is all about building together. This is about growing and, building your future. This weekend, we're going to be celebrating our 1 year being back together. And we're going to go out of town and have some fun. Mm-hmm. So we'll record some video and post it whenever. So thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can stay up to date with when we're posting new videos.
And if you have any ideas of different videos that you guys want us to talk about, go ahead and leave those in the comments as well.
Comment, folks, and like it. That helps. It matters. And we actually read them because we've only gotten like 3.
All right, thanks, guys, and we'll see you guys next time.
Deuces.